Welcome to Withdraw Consent. I'm Jack. This is Victor. So Victor has an interesting theory, I believe, on the Americans' attitude towards war. I think I agree with him. I'm not sure exactly what he's got here, but
Okay.
let's hear the pitch.
All right, so this is, at its core, it's about Americans and violence, and it ends up being kind of about war because, war is violent. So for decades at this point, I've always heard how violent America is. Love of guns and the movies and all that kind of thing. And I don't remember what video we were filming where just some pieces kind of clicked together for me. So at our base, I feel like humanity, especially men, are violent. Like you don't ever have to teach a little kid, your little boy, to wrestle with you or to fight with you. I mean, it's just a natural thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we live in a society where there is no outlet for that. The majority of people go through their whole lives without throwing a punch or, having to try to harm another human being. And so I feel like we've developed these different ways that end up being outlets for the violence. We have our video games, which are, you go through and you kill hundreds of computer control people, or you're fighting other people and trying to dominate other dudes.
Mm-hmm.
It's that type of thing.
Right.
You've got all the action movies and Michael Bay explosions and all that kind of feeds into it.
So it's not just competition, it's the violence. It's your
Yeah, I feel like it's a satisfying thing. Even me, I'm, almost half a century old and I still love my violence,
Mm-hmm.
in the different forms. You look at our sports, I mean, we've got football. If it wasn't as violent as this, do you think it would be as popular?
No.
We've got, when we had boxing and then that wasn't enough, and now it's MMA, which is just put two dudes in a cage and they just go at each other. You go into
we'll do stuff like this that's so violent that it's illegal, like cockfighting and stuff.
Right.
Just people in general, they'll do it.
Yeah, if it's animals, you can't do that, but
I know.
It can be done with
But
people.
what I'm saying is we're trying to push beyond the limits they've set.
Oh.
They got to make laws to be like, you're too violent.
Right. Yeah. Have you ever seen the original seasons? Like people just pounding on each other's crotches.
Oh, I haven't. That's funny.
No rules.
Wow.
It was like no fish hooking was the only rule.
Wow.
So, and then you think about the guns. America, we have to have all of our guns and all that kind of stuff, and it all has this. The image that's portrayed is that we're violent, and my argument is that we're not actually a violent people. You think about it's like MMA and boxing. You watch that, you want to see the violence, but nobody's cheering for someone to die in the ring. No one wants their career ended with a concussion. You don't want to see legs snapped. Even like NASCAR, who doesn't love the great pileups, but you don't want to see your racers die.
Right.
You want them to be safe in there, but you want to see the giant pileup.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's a violence almost without consequences. Because again, we aren't actually a bloodthirsty people.
Mm-hmm.
You think about the guns. I see different statistics, but it's estimated that American civilians have between 45 and 48% of all the guns on Earth. So you think about all the armies on every country and all of their civilians, and it's almost for every gun all of those people have, we have a gun. A civilian does.
Amazing.
And they'll point to how violent we are because of all the guns. But if you look at the stats, if you take as a whole, we're towards the top of the list at the most dangerous, like per capita, people getting involved in a shooting. But if you remove the 5 most violent cities, we're one of the safest places on Earth, even with almost half the guns on the planet. So it points to not actually violent. It's, as a gun owner, I never want to have to use my gun in self-defense. That would be a rough thing to go through. But if you come through my door, I'm not negotiating with you. I'm not looking to save ammunition. I'm looking to redistribute everything that's loaded. You know what I mean? And it's we put it off as long as possible, but when it comes time, it's go time. And
you have the right tools and you're willing to make but it's not from bloodlust.
Right, it's not, because I do not want to do that. And
the cleanup on the walls. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not going to lose any sleep having to do it, but I don't want to have to do that. And that the realization when we were doing whatever video it was that that's our exact mentality when it comes to war, is we don't want, as a people, based on all the things that we've talked about in different wars, what what was the people's view going into the war? And it was, we don't want to fight. We have to get tricked by our government. They either attack us themselves or they get someone else to attack us, and then that's the equivalent of someone stepping through my door.
And then we rally to the flag.
And now we're going to, nuke them.
Yeah.
Now it's go time.
Yeah, we'll give you unlimited authority to...
Right,
yeah.
just slaughter them.
This is a good theory.
And it's... Yeah, I feel like we aren't... Just leave us alone and we're fine. You go back to the guys, don't tread on me as long as I have my guns, and they're never going to use them for what they need to be used for.
Yeah.
And that's almost taking it too far. But that's kind of my theory. And so my question to you is this an American attitude? Do you think this is prevalent across all humanity? Or what are your thoughts on how this works for different groups of people on the planet?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind when you ask me that question is, you know how when you're in Africa and then you have a fight and you just take machetes at each other?
Okay.
But then you take that same African man and you put him in Europe and he's chasing white people down the street with the machetes?
Okay.
I think this is a white people thing.
Okay.
It could be a thing that we share with other groups of peoples,
okay,
but not necessarily every group. I wouldn't say it's a human thing.
So, if we go back to the African dude, is it maybe that they're not used to having another outlet? Let's say the movies doesn't satisfy them, so they have to go out and chop people? You know what I'm saying?
I can't understand that mind. I can't understand that.
Oh, that's a good point. Right, yeah, I can't understand willingly wanting to hurt someone just because.
Yeah, there was this guy, there was a video, and it's from a while ago, and he was a black guy, and he was walking through Walmart, at the Walmart where my wife shops at, and then he picked up a baseball bat, and he walked up behind some young white girl, just teed up, and just hit her in the back of the head, and she just, nothing, gone, you know? So anyways, he gets arrested and stuff like that. They ask him later, why did you do this? And he's like, I just want to feel what it would be like. See, I can't comprehend you.
Right.
You can't live anywhere near me or my children or mom. You know what I'm saying? But this is at the Walmart that my wife shops at, the exact same one. But then if you look at Hispanic people, for example, in America, Hispanic people. Now, Hispanic people are part white,
Okay.
I feel like they operate the same way we do.
Okay.
That's what I feel like. I feel like, hey, some Hispanics will load up on some guns. But you don't, get on the side of the road, some Hispanic family. Now, if it's a gang member, you're doing it because they're a gang member, not because they're Hispanic, white, or black. True. It just doesn't matter. They're just gang members, But you don't, you know what I mean?
Right. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, though.
Okay.
I'm interested in what they think, too. What do you guys think? I would say black people are wired differently than white people.
Okay.
And Hispanics are wired
similarly. And how about Asian people?
I just don't know enough. I mean, I've read a bunch of Asian books and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I feel like they're in between somewhere. That's what I feel like.
Okay.
From just reading old books. But I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay. So, anyway, it's just an eye-opening thing that love of violence can have different, meanings. It's the African dude loves violence in a way different way than I like sitting down and watching whatever on
right.
TV.
Yeah. And if you did cross the line to do that, you would not get any type of fulfillment because that's not what you're trying to do. You're not trying to get blood over your hands and then put your war paint on. You're like, oh, what have I done? Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that guy's like, But man, you're really right, because even you think go back to the Civil War.
Okay.
And then they were like, they've already, peacefully left. And they're like, get this fort out of there. You know what I mean? And then the North gets that fort out of there. It's in our territory. And then get Fort Sumter out of there. And they're like, okay, we'll do it. And they're like, no, get Fort Sumter out of there. They're like, okay, we'll do it. And then Abraham Lincoln sends the ship with the reinforcements to reinforce the fort on orders not to fire if fired upon.
Oh.
So it's literally, he's like, I cannot get these Southerners to start this war. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so then he reinforces it. So then they raid the fort, capture it, and nobody dies. I think one person died, but it was like an accident. It wasn't like got killed by the enemy. So then, the Southerners who were like us in our temperament, not like Abraham Lincoln, who's more like an African, that gets pretty rude, but I'm sorry. Abraham Lincoln's a complete piece of trash. And so then he's trying to coerce these guys into war, and they're like, we'll give you our war, but no deaths for you. We're going to do it without bloodshed.
Right.
And then they do it, and it's like they're being catapulted by, it's almost like when I look in politics today, And then I look at how like white folk act. A lot of white folk are in Washington, D.C., you know?
Okay.
And I got to say, if you want to say, like, are white people in charge? Just look at the policies.
Okay.
Look at the policies. This is AIPAC doing these policies, not white folk in D.C. I mean, it is literally white folk in D.C., but being funded by AIPAC and doing AIPACs, because we just don't think like this when it comes to the violence thing. We don't think let's just go ravage Middle Easterners, just ravage country after country. You know, we want for 100 years, you can see that, you know what I mean? Broken buildings. And do you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I'm cool. I'm cool.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think it's a valid point.
Okay.
I just valid theory.
Yeah, I was just thinking, you know, when two dudes have a problem, they have their fight and then they go have beers afterwards. Like, it's just done. It isn't a
blood feud.
There's, you know, you and your family for 10 generations are going to feel the pain. You know what I mean? Like, it's a...
Yeah, that's interesting, yeah.
The scale... I guess that's different. I don't know.
Okay, so this is interesting, too, because Israel and Gaza are going at it right now.
Sure.
And it's funny because both of them have acted more like the African guy with the machete than us. Because the first one was brutal on October 7th. That was brutal.
Definitely.
Right? And then what?
The response.
The response is brutal, too. Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like they're both doing something that we wouldn't do.
Yeah.
But it's funny because what they're doing, okay, you know, what Israel is doing, not what Palestine did, is exactly how we would act. Just bomb them.
Yes.
Our government would act.
Right.
Because our government's controlled by the same people who are attacking Gaza right now.
But if we
had, you know what I mean?
But the people would also back us for bombing them because they attacked us. It's like a 9/11 thing.
Oh, it was unprovoked, I hear.
Right. We didn't do anything. We're treating them good and... Yeah.
So it was Pearl Harbor.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Pretty disgusting. I'm going to try to put this into other ideas in the future. Because it's one that you can insert in there. I like it.
Yeah, definitely.
Deprogramming, I guess?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay. What do you guys think? Hope you enjoyed the episode. I think it's a fantastic idea. I hadn't captured the full idea, but as you were telling me, I think it's a fantastic idea. What do you guys think? We'd appreciate, you know, if you like and subscribe, put a comment below. See you next time.